My name is Anastasia Gibson. Miss Gibson, I'm assisted by Mrs. Dean. And today's lesson is going to be on the brain. It should be on the screen for everyone to see. Okay, so shall we begin?
Okay, because I couldn't see you.
So our lesson is the brain today. You will see that the slide is talking about the parts of the system, the nervous system. The nervous system is the control center for our bodies. Okay, it controls every function of our bodies. It's like the master puppet, I like to say, coordinating everything in your body. Now, the nervous system is divided into two systems. Okay, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system includes your brain and the spinal cord, and your peripheral nervous system includes all of your nerves and or neurons that are attached to your brain and your spinal cord. Now, for today, we're going to look specifically at the brain, which is a part of the central nervous system. And the brain is the master organ of the body. Okay, remember I said it's like the puppet master. It controls everything, all of the different functions and organs of your body. Now, the brain is divided into three parts. You have your cerebrum, your cerebellum, and the medulla oblongata. Okay, and here we see a picture of the brain and its structure, how it looks. And here we see a diagram of the brain, which shows the three basic regions, which we're going to get into. Now, the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It controls all of your thinking, your memory, your learning, your movements of your face. It is the control center. Okay, and the cerebrum is the gray surface that has deep folds. If you notice the previous slide, I'm going to go back there. You're going to see these folds that kind of look like a cauliflower, I would say, if you're familiar with that. It is made up of two parts. You're going to have your right cerebral hemisphere and your left cerebral hemisphere, and they are connected together. Here you see a diagram displaying your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere. Okay, and notice that they do come together at a point in the middle. Now, your cerebellum, it is located below at the back of your cerebrum. Okay, it is also divided into a right and a left hemisphere, which are also connected together. The cerebellum coordinates and controls all of your skeletal muscles. Okay, so all of your voluntary muscles, all of your voluntary movements or actions, your cerebellum is going to coordinate with that. For instance, giving smoothness of action, maintaining your balance, and also keeping your muscle tone. Your cerebellum, okay, which is right at the back of your cerebrum, directly beneath it. Here you see a diagram of your left. So this is the location of your cerebellum in relation to the cerebrum, which you will see the mushroom appearance of the cerebrum, and the cerebellum is located right beneath it. Here you see a diagram of the left and right hemisphere in relation to the location of your cerebrum and your cerebellum. So your cerebellum is located at the back of your cerebrum, and again controls all of basically your voluntary movements, your skeletal muscles, your balance, as well as your posture. So your medulla or your medulla, however you would like to say it, is continuous with your spinal cord. Okay, and it contains all of vital your vital centers. Okay, your vitals like your breathing, your heart rate, your blood pressure, all of these things that a nurse would check when as routine when you go to see a doctor. All of your vitals, that basically makes so that you're alive. Okay, all of the signs that says that you're living. So your medulla, it is located at the very top of your spinal cord. Okay, so when I teach, I like to say it is the smaller hump on that spinal cord. You will see that the larger hump would be the pons, and the smaller secondary hump right beneath that is your medulla. It's very important to distinguish those two parts, as these parts can be a little bit obscure on diagrams that you would find on tests and national examinations. Okay, so that's also very important to distinguish between the pons and your medulla oblongata. Okay, here is a diagram that shows basically the different sections of the brain. We call those lobes. You have your frontal lobe, your temporal lobe, your parietal lobe, your occipital lobe, and of course, beneath that, you have your brainstem, okay, and your cerebellum. So if you look at the cerebrum, you're going to see that even though it is separated into the left and the right hemisphere, even those hemispheres are then separated into its own section or lobe that is responsible for different things. For instance, the frontal lobe, which you will find at the very front of the brain, is going to be in charge or control your thinking, your memory, your movement. Okay, your temporal lobe, which is located at the side, is going to be responsible for your hearing, your feelings, your learning. And right in the top middle, okay, you're going to find your parietal lobe, which is where all of your speech and language are, where all those languages are processed. And you're going to find right at the very back of the cerebrum is your occipital lobe, which controls your vision, okay, your sight. Okay, so questions. This is to just recap what we should have known already from this presentation. What does the cerebrum or the cerebellum control? What does the cerebellum control? Can I get some answers in here, please? Christine, are you seeing the responses as well?
Yeah,
I'm seeing smoothness of action.
I see stability, breathing and posture, skeletal system, memory, balance.
Okay. Okay, I'm saying the same thing. Okay, so I'm saying that half of the responses are on point and half of them are a little bit off. Okay, remember your cerebellum is responsible for your voluntary movements, right? Your voluntary responses. So your balance, your coordination. I see some people are saying yes, that is true. Let's go to the second question. Yes, I see someone says it controls your skeletal muscles. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Okay, so all of your voluntary movements, your balance, your posture. Okay, let's go to the next question. Which activities are controlled by your medulla? Can I get some questions in there, some answers in there?
So I'm seeing heart rate, blood pressure, breathing.
Heart rate, blood pressure, breathing. Awesome. Yes, that is correct. So remember all of your vitals. All of these signs to let us know that we're alive. Your pulse rate, your breathing rate, Yes, correct. And by the responses, it looks like we are on track. And I noticed that someone said involuntary. Oh, Marion Pratt, yes. Yes. So if you notice your blood pressure, your heart rate, these are all things that we do not have any control over, which is the definition of an involuntary action. So, Marion Pratt, yes, you're spot on with that.
Well done, Omarion.
Yes. Okay. Let me put the questions back. What does CNS stand for?
Okay,
Is the screen freezing?
I'm seeing central nervous. Everybody's saying it.
Yes. Yes, it stands for the central nervous system. Yes, you can use that acronym in place of the actual word. And I have another question, which is also very important. I don't think it's on here. Yes, it is actually. So who can name the two parts of your central nervous system? The two parts of your central nervous system. Okay, so I'm seeing some mixed answers here.
I'm trying.
Okay, someone is saying my screen is freezing.
I'm not seeing the answers anymore.
Okay. What time is it? Is it that my screen is frozen?
I don't know, but I'm not seeing the answers for that question. It looks like it stopped after a certain amount of answers. I don't know. Okay, I'm seeing some answers now popping up. Brain and spinal cord.
Okay, what's the last question that you see? I think I see central nervous system.
Yeah, but I had to go into the chat to see brain and spinal cord. Not in the question and answer part. I'm not seeing it in that
Oh,
one.
in the chart part. Okay.
That's where I got those.
Okay, in the chat.
Yeah, I got.
Oh, I see that where. Okay, so I was actually in the Q&A section, and you
Yeah,
said you're in the chat.
I was seeing it in
So,
Q&A, but now I'm not seeing it in there anymore. So I went to the chat.
okay, so let me switch over to the chat. Okay, so I'm seeing the responses, and it looks like the majority of you did get that right. It is made up of your brain and your spinal cord. Okay, don't get it confused with hemisphere. Okay, and when we talk about hemisphere, we're really talking about the brain itself. Okay, remember the central nervous system is not only comprised of the brain, but also your spinal cord. And I see that the majority of you answered that correctly. Okay, now the next question, this will definitely need to be done personally, each of you, drawing a diagram of the brain and label the three parts. Now, this is a good indicator for you to kind of assess yourself, to ensure that you know first of all, the three parts of the brain as well as their location. So since we cannot really deal with that at this time, could you respond for me and tell me in your chat what are the three parts of the brain? If you can answer that for me, please. I see that some of you are answering in the Q&A and some are answering in the actual chat. Miss Dean, you're looking in the chat?
I went to the Q&A. Let me check back the chat. You can hear me because I had to move from where I was.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Yeah, the chat has it. I'm in the chat.
Yeah, I don't think the Q&A. Okay, so I'll switch over to the chat. Yes, I think the chat is where most of them are answering.
Yes.
Okay, Devontae, Jeffrey, Kiana. Okay, Bianca. Okay, it looks like everyone is on target with the answers. The cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla. Okay, you can say also medulla oblongata. Okay, and for me personally, I feel that you should use both terms, the medulla oblongata, because there is also another part of your body that has that structure called the medulla. So just to be very specific, we want to use medulla oblongata when we're referring to the brain. Okay, let's get to the last question here. Describe the cerebrum. Okay, now you can tackle it. You can talk about the structure here. Describe the cerebrum. Okay, just want to get a feel of what some of you will come up with. So I'm going to switch over to the chat and I'm going to look at your responses. I want to see how you would describe the cerebrum. Okay, now remember when we are describing something, you're really talking about, because I didn't say the function, I really want you to describe the structure. Yes, I'm seeing some responses. It has deep folds. Yes, it does. Yes, it is the largest part of the brain. Yes, Craig, it is divided into two hemispheres. Correct. All of those are correct. And of course, yes, the function is that it controls our higher thinking and also our memory. Okay, also it is the part of the brain that does all of our decision making for us. Okay, anything that is voluntary, our cerebrum will be responsible for. Okay, just going to look at some other responses. Okay, yes, yes. It resembles a mushroom because of the folds. Yes, yes, Reynolds.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So all of those responses are actually spot on. Okay, so remember your brain consists of those three parts. Okay, the cerebrum, your cerebellum, and your medulla. And the brain is also a part of your central nervous system, which includes the spinal cord as well. And you can also see that from the diagrams, the spinal cord is actually attached to the brain. So they work very closely together. The cerebrum makes up 85% of your brain weight. Way to go, Kiana. Yes, it is the largest part of the brain. So yes, it will account for the largest percentage as it relates to weight. Okay, so that's very good. Okay, Ms. Dean, I think that. Okay, you should see a YouTube video.
Okay, I'm seeing it
And
now.
first say the color and note the word. Can everyone see that? Okay. So let's play this video and we're going to follow.
In which the word has been written and not read the word. So are you ready? Let's begin. confusing? Was your brain put to test? I know it was. So today let's learn about this important organ of our body, the brain. Were you accidentally reading the word and not speaking out the color? Don't worry, it's normal. It's called the left-right conflict of the brain. Your right side of the brain tries to say the color, and your left side of the brain insists. You know that the brain is divided into two halves, the right half and the left half. And both these halves are connected to each other by a bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. So from this view, does our brain remind you of anything that can be eaten? Any nut? Yes, it looks like a walnut. And did you know that a walnut is a brain-boosting nut, which when eaten regularly helps to... So like you can see here, our brain has wrinkles on its exterior surface, and this wrinkly part is called as the cerebrum, which makes up the major portion of our brain. But not every individual has equal amount of wrinkles. These wrinkles indirectly determine the intelligence of an individual. You may be wondering how. So let me tell you, the logic is that the wrinkles are formed to increase the surface area of brain tissue. So more the surface area, more the number of neurons in the nervous tissue. And more the neurons, more intelligent an individual is. So now we know that cerebrum is associated with the intelligence of an individual. Now let's look at the brain from a different view. So when we change the angle and when we see it from this side, we notice that the cerebrum is actually divided into 4 parts or 4 lobes, we can say. And each lobe has different functions that they perform for the body. The first one is called the frontal lobe. Now just by the name, can you guess which one of these can be called the frontal lobe? Yes, it is this one, the one present in the front. Now to tell you its function, let me give you a math problem. Can you calculate the sum? Did you get the right answer? The frontal lobe controls problem solving and intellectual activities. So right now to solve this problem, your frontal lobe was actively involved. Are that this frontal lobe controls attention, judgment, behavior, and muscle movement. So now let's test our... So on my command, quickly raise your right hand. Good. So your frontal lobe is functioning really well. Let's move to the next lobe. This highlighted lobe here is called the parietal lobe. And do you know what it controls? Wait. Let's take a test to see if it functions well. So you have to do as I say. Pinch yourself as hard as possible. Come on, do it quickly. Did that hurt? Did you sense any pain? So well, your parietal lobe senses pain. It also helps in visual functions such as reading and understanding statements. Are the lobes in the cerebrum? So let's continue. The next lobe is called the temporal lobe. It controls the visual and auditory memories. So all that you see and hear gets stored in the form of memories in this lobe. Do you all want to test this lobe too? Okay, so all that you have to do is listen to the statement, memorize it well, and repeat it later. Are you ready? Here we go. Jack will cycle to the market and bring tomatoes for his mother. Did you get it right? You're brilliant. Let's move ahead. The fourth and the last lobe is the occipital lobe. It helps in recognition of color, words, and movements. So let's take a small test for this. So in this moving video here, you have to find hidden words and you have 10 seconds. Let's start. Wow, so quickly we've completed learning about the cerebral lobes along with their functions. Let's move to the second part of the brain. The small bulge at the back of your brain that you see is called as the cerebellum. Just like the cerebrum, this cerebellum is also divided into two halves. It's called as the small brain, and it is a very important part of our brain. Compared to the cerebellum has more number of neurons, and it controls essential body functions like balance, coordination, and posture, allowing us to move properly and maintain our structure. So your cerebellum is the reason that you can stand on one leg, jump around, run, and maintain your body posture and structure. Now, both these parts that we just discussed are superficially present on the exterior of our brain. But tell me one thing, who tells you when you're hurt or angry or sad or excited about something? We link these emotions to our heart, but is it really your heart? No, it's your brain. The part that handles your emotional side is hidden below this wrinkly portion or the cerebrum. So in our next video, we'll dissect our brain and try to reach the depth of it, where we'll be studying two more important parts of our brain which lie in the interiors. Let me remind you all that we have complete courses for each and every chapter in mathematics for grade.
Can everybody hear me? If you have any questions concerning the presentation, you can do so now. You can ask your question. The cerebrum slide. Okay, let's go there. Okay. Nige, is this the slide? Okay, so do you have a question? Remember, do not have to rush to copy down every word that you see on the screen. It's going to be there uploaded for you. The entire presentation along with any materials related to the lesson will be there for you to retrieve at your own rate, okay? Okay, Calvin is asking, can you increase the number of neurons in your brain? That's an interesting question. And I think Calvin asked that question because in the video it mentioned that the more neurons you have, basically the smarter you are, and that you actually can lose those neurons. If you're familiar with the term, oh, you're frying out all your brain cells, yes, damage and lose your brain cells, and the brain cell is really your neurons, your nerves. Miss Gray. Miss Dean, sorry, Miss Dean.
Hi. Hello, hi.
Yes, ma'am. Just making sure there. Okay, we still have some time, about 5 minutes. Anything that anyone needs me to clarify? Okay. What if your spinal cord is damaged? Okay, your spinal cord is really your relay. It is like the baton in a race, right? So it is the point where information is given and sent out, okay? It's like the middleman. So if your middle guy is lost or broken, then information can either get in or cannot be put out. So in that case, many persons with spinal injuries will be paralyzed, where either they cannot walk or they cannot feel. Remember, our nerves helps us to basically sense our environment. So if that gets disrupted, then we won't be able to have those functioning. So persons with spinal injuries, there usually is a term for that. It's called paralysis. Okay. Okay, can you put back the slide with the medulla?
Ms. Gibson, you said this session ends at 11:50
11:55.
or 55? Okay.
Yeah, so we want to see if this session actually shuts off automatically. That's what we want to see.
I guess I don't know if we just end it, because I don't know if there's another class. When it's another class scheduled, do they just go to another class?
It's on the schedule. It's 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's an option.
Okay.
It's an option subject.
So I guess we probably just need to end at 11:55, and then they will have to get into
Yes, I
the
guess
class.
so. Yes. Okay, so at this time, I guess we can end. Thank you all for being a part of this session. As we continue, both you and I will get a better feel for this. So thank you for participating, and we'll see you all at the next session. Thanks for being a part of this one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone see me and hear me? Let me know in the chat, please. Yes, good, awesome. Okay, so good morning, grade 7. I apologize in advance. We had some technical difficulties, but we're here now, and it's going to be a great lesson, okay? So I hope everyone had a great weekend. So my name is Ms. Thompson, first of all. And I guess backtracking, I guess y'all did the skeletal system, so y'all should be well on the way with that. So we're just going to end the skeletal system today, and we're going to talk about joints. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to try and share this PowerPoint. Let's see how this can work now. Okay, so usually I'd have the topic first, but because we're going to do 2 topics, well, because we're living in time, I doubt we're going to do those. But let's talk about the objectives first, okay? So the first objective that I want us to accomplish today is I want us to define joints. I want us to recall the 2 types of joints, differentiate between the 4 types of synovial joints, recall 3 functions of the muscular system, differentiate between the 3 types of muscles. Okay? So firstly, what is a joint? A joint is a point where 2 or more bones connect, okay? I want you to really take notice of the word connect, right? I don't want you guys to use the word meet, because just because something meets, right, doesn't mean it connects, right? So this is the point where 2 or more, so it could be 3 joints, it could be 3 bones, sorry, it could be 4 bones, but whatever the point is that they connect is called a joint. Joints make bending, twisting, and turning possible, right? So there are over 200 joints in the human body, right? So there's almost as much joints as there are bones in the human body. And these are some types of joints, very common: knee joint, elbow joint, and even joints found in the skull. Okay, so there are 2 types of joints: immovable joints or fixed joints, and movable synovial joints, right? And just by the name, you can tell what's happening here, right? So immovable joints are joints that don't move, they're fixed in that position. While movable joints or synovial joints, they're the joints that allow us to move, right? They're the joints that allow us to walk. They're the joints that allow us, our hands to move and everything else to move, okay? So let's start from the first one, immovable or fixed joints. Okay, and I have to learn this as I go along. I actually want to see you guys chat and I can't. Okay, so immovable or fixed joints. These joints do not allow movement and are extremely strong, right? So the place where these joints are found is the skull. So immovable joints or fixed joints are only found in the skull, and they are joints that do not move. Movable or synovial joints. These are the joints found in all the other rest or all the other parts of your body. So synovial joints are freely moving joints. Okay, these are the most common types of joints in the body, realistically, because they're found every place else except the skull, and are the most important in terms of physical activity since they allow a wide range of movements. Okay, so all the exercise that you see here, the woman doing whatever that exercise is, okay, and the two men, they allow all those activities to take place. They are called movable or synovial joints. So again, the two types of joints are immovable joints or fixed joints found in the skull. They do not allow movement, and movable joints or synovial joints found in all the rest or all the other parts of the body, and they allow movement. Okay, so what surrounds synovial joints? Each synovial joint is surrounded by a synovial membrane, okay? And in that synovial membrane is something called the synovial fluid, okay? That synovial fluid acts as a lubricant. And we should all know what a lubricant is, or maybe we don't, but if we don't, let me explain it to you. So a lubricant is just a liquid that helps to reduce friction, right? So you don't want two things to rub against each other. That should be painful, right? So it allows for the smooth movement of these objects. That's called a synovial fluid, okay? Okay, so let's look at the types of joints. And the first type of joints we have here is the hinge joint, found in the elbows, the knees, the knuckles, and the toes, right? And this is how I remember the hinge joint, okay? I don't know if you guys can see my arm, right? So you can think of the hinge joint as a door. Door closes, the door opens, right? Closes, open, okay? And that's how you can remember a hinge joint. Again, they're found in the elbows, in the knuckles, sorry, in the fingers, and in the toes. Okay, so hinge joints allow movement in one plane. The joint permits a back and forward motion. Again, back and forward motion. The second type of joint is gliding or sliding joints, found between bones of the vertebral column, in the carpal of the wrist, in the tarsal of the ankles, okay? And it permits a sliding motion of one bone over the other. So these bones found in the wrist, right? Or these bones found at the ankle are flat bones that are allowed to slide on top of each other, okay? Next, we have the ball and socket joint, found in the shoulders, right? And in the hips. The end of one bone is rounded and fits into a hollow, well, something's supposed to be there, in the other bone, right? So it's like this. It's like you have a ball and you have something that holds the ball, right? That's why we call it ball and socket, okay? And this allows for free movement. Free movement. So when you look at your shoulders, you're able to do a lot with your shoulders, right? You can do this, you can stretch out, you can do it round, you can do a lot of things. And it's the same thing with the hips, right? So again, these ball and socket joints permits a circular movement. That is the widest range of movement. Okay, the ball and socket joints of the shoulder and hip, for example, can rotate in a complete circle. The pivot joints. These joints are found in the neck and in the forearms. It permits rotation of one bone alongside the other. Okay, it also allows you to turn your head from side to side, right? And you can think of a pivot joint as a ring, and then a flat bone inside that is allowed to pivot, right? And this is how your neck is allowed to go side to side, up and down, okay? Okay, so remember guys, we said there are two types of joints, immovable joints and movable joints. And immovable joints are joints found only in the skull, and like their name says, they don't move, okay? But they are extremely strong, as they need to be, because they're found in the skull, okay? Only in the skull. They do not move. Okay, so movable joints, also called synovial joints, are found in all other parts of the body except the skull, because we know in the skull it's where the immovable joints are found. And these movable joints, or synovial joints, allow for a wide range of movement, right? So they're the joints in our hands that allow us to move in our hands, our feet, and all other parts of the body, okay? Right, okay? So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please stay safe. Bye. Okay.
I am so happy for the Bahamas Virtual Learning website. Even though I cannot go to school, my learning does not have to stop. Every morning, I go to ministryofeducation.com and click on the Virtual Learning Portal button. Next, I select my grade level. This learning schedule outlines my entire week. I navigate to the appropriate day. I always check the time to make sure that I am never late for classes. Then, I select the Join Now button. This directs me to a Zoom landing page. I am not the host of the session, so I will select Join as an attendee. Next, I fill out the class registration form. This is like a daily attendance. Present. Finally, I click on the link at the bottom when I am in my virtual classroom. I can ask questions in the Q&A and chat directly to the teacher. It's like having my own private tutor. If I miss a live lesson, I can come back to the page the following day and access the recording from the previous class.
Good morning, grade 7, and welcome.
Phew. But wait, there's more. I can explore all of the additional resources for that subject by clicking onto the Lesson Resources link. Here, I will find the PowerPoint from the lesson, additional lesson notes, and worksheets for practice. But the learning doesn't stop there. All of my option subjects are also available on the Virtual Learning website. To access the option subjects, I click onto an option block on the timetable, and then boom, a whole menu of option subjects appear. I can access resources for computer studies, electrical, modern languages, visual and performing arts, and even cosmetology and carpentry. Want to know my secret? I download all of the resources and save them on my computer. So if the internet goes down, I still have my resources. There are even resources available for my little brother in primary school. Once mommy goes to the page for his grade level, she finds all kinds of fun and exciting videos and activities that he can use for each day of the week.
Whoa, what an adventure!
Add the silent E after the consonant, it becomes sight.
Wow, you guys thought of it all. I kind of like this virtual learning thing.